It was a normal day for Justine Valdez, a 24-year-old accountant from Nisar, Ireland. She had just finished her workout at the gym and was heading home. Her mom, Teresa, texted her to pick up some bread on the way. She stopped by the supermarket, grabbed a loaf, and hopped on the 185 bus to Bray. She got off at her usual stop, near the village of Nisar, where she lived with her parents in a small cottage on the grounds of a huge estate. They worked as servants for a rich and powerful family. Justine was used to the 15 to 20-minute walk home. She did it almost every day. She knew the area well. It was a rural and peaceful place. Nothing bad ever happened there, but something bad did happen that day. Something terrible. Justine never made it home. Her mom was waiting for her, looking out the window. She started to worry when Justine didn't call or text to say she was running late. She tried to reach her, but there was no answer, no reply. She ran out of the house and walked towards the bus stop, hoping to see her daughter. But she didn't. She asked around, but no one knew where Justine was. They had seen her get off the bus, but then she vanished. She was gone. The police were called. They took Teresa's statement and began to investigate. They looked into Justine's life and social circle. They found out she was a hard-working and ambitious girl who had moved from the Philippines with her parents when she was young. Justine always kept in touch with her parents and texted them everything she did that day. She and her mom sent 63 messages back and forth right after Justine got off the bus. But then, something horrible happened. A woman driving with her son saw a guy in a black Nissan pushing a girl into his trunk. The girl was Asian, had dark hair, wore sportswear, and looked a lot like Justine. The woman told the cops that the car had no lights on and the girl was yelling in the trunk while the kidnapper tried to shut it. She was scared but didn't mess with the guy. She just drove away and called the cops. Another driver saw the same creepy thing, but this time the Asian girl was in the back seat and tapping on the window like she was begging for help. The cops got to where the woman called them and found Justine's smashed phone and a bag of bread on the road. That was a bad sign and meant that Justine was in trouble. They told the station what they found, and the station did some digging. They figured out that the kidnapper grabbed Justine when she was walking from the bus stop. He first tried to stuff her in the trunk, but she fought back hard, and he couldn't do it. Then he put her in the back seat and drove off to who knows where. The kidnapper's black Nissan was on the wanted list, and the cops looked everywhere for it. Helicopters flew over the area, but it was dark and hard to see anything. They couldn't find anything, so they waited until morning to keep looking. When the sun came up, they started searching again. The detectives talked to the woman who saw the kidnapping again, and she described the guy. The cops checked all the black Nissan cars in the area, and there were only a few. One driver caught their eye. It was Mark Hennessy, 40 years old, and he looked just like the kidnapper sketch. The cops went to his house to see what was up. He wasn't home, and his wife Nicola opened the door. She had a crazy story to tell. She said her husband left for work yesterday at 7:30 a.m. like always, and then came home at 3:00 p.m. for lunch. He left at 5:30 p.m. to go to a bar. He said he wanted to have a drink and chill after a hard day, but he never came back, and she didn't know where he was. This made the cops even more suspicious of Mark, and they started digging into his life. Mark seemed like a good guy from every angle. He was a great family man, husband, and dad of 2 little girls. The youngest one was born 8 months ago in September 2017. He came from a good family and lived in a nice neighborhood with other young families. Mark was a construction site estimator who made good money and took care of his family. He had no criminal record and no trouble with the law. So it was hard to believe that such a good guy could do something so bad. The cops had this hunch that Mark could be a total wolf in sheep's clothing, you know? Like, he might not be who he seemed to be. The bar's CCTV caught him looking all antsy and out of place. So detectives were like, something fishy's going on here. At around 5:40 p.m., Mark pieced out of the pub after a quick chat on the phone, then dipped in his ride. But get this, he didn't show back up till like 11 p.m. What was he up to during that time? And why didn't he go home? So, investigators were on it, asking for CCTV from the bus Justine supposedly took. Turns out, Mark's black Nissan was tailing that bus for a good half hour after he left the bar. Talk about suspicious, right? So, they're all on the lookout for Mark's car and the missing girl. Suspicions are rising, and Mark's not making it any easier. His phone's playing peekaboo, and he even called his missus to drop the bomb that he ain't coming home. Dude's making moves that got everyone on edge. Then, things take a wild turn. Mark's folks spill that he's always been one step ahead. So, the cops decide to go public, pleading for help. And wouldn't you know it, one eagle-eyed lady hears the plea and spots a similar car with a familiar driver. She tails him all the way to Cherrywood Park, where she gets a good look at him and dials 911. When the cops roll up, it's chaos. Mark's covered in blood, waving a knife like he's in some action flick. Shots are fired, and Mark ends up taking one in the shoulder. But even after they drag him out, he's tight-lipped. Not a word about where Justine is. They rush him to the hospital, hoping he'll spill the beans. But here's the kicker. Turns out that bullet ricocheted and got him in the head. Game over for Mark. And get this, all that blood? His own. Dude had been stabbing himself. Talk about a twisted ending. The search for Justine ain't over though. They find this note hinting at her location near some castle. It's a roller coaster of emotions, man. Fast forward, and they find Justine's stuff in the woods. But it's not until May 21st that they find her body. It's heartbreaking, really. Autopsy shows she was strangled and assaulted. Toxicology reports suggest she was drugged. And get this, Mark's got a history of substance abuse. It's all adding up. Turns out Justine was just in the wrong place at the wrong time. Mark was on the prowl, and she was an unfortunate victim. DNA evidence seals the deal. Dude's guilty as sin. It's a chilling reminder that monsters can lurk anywhere, even in plain sight on a sunny day. Man, Mark had been stalking that poor girl for ages. It's like something out of a thriller movie. He must have been watching her every move, probably checking out her routine, biding his time for the perfect moment to strike. Then, on that fateful day, he made his move. He left the bar, followed her bus, and pounced when he saw his chance. It's bone-chilling to think about. The whole town was in shock. I mean, nothing like this had ever happened in our peaceful little community before. It's a wake-up call, you know? Makes you realize that danger can be lurking right around the corner, even in the places you least expect. If you found this story as gripping as I did, hit that like button and subscribe to the channel for more true crime tales. Thanks for tuning in, and catch you next time.